Joining me now is Nick Pinchuk, Snap-on chairman and CEO, and Alan Kruger of Princeton University, still with me as well. These guys are basically talking football and NCAA the entire time in the commercial break, but this is not about sports. It's about wages. How tight is the market?
Kind of the same thing in some ways,
is
right?
It?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I want you to make that comparison. Go ahead.
Right, no,
What
actually,
do you see?
Actually, for us, in certain plants, they're okay. Other places, it's difficult to get people. But the National Association of Manufacturers will tell you that 458,000 jobs are going begging and not filled.
So
part of that is the skills. They would say a skills gap, the ability to get skills people, and I think that's one of the issues. It's been an issue for a long time.
So the areas where it's still tight for you, what do you do? Is it a higher wages situation? Is it offering different types of benefits? How do you compensate?
Well, one
for
of
that?
the things about this, we can find people usually if we spend time, because people, with respect, people like to work for Snap-on. It's kind of a cool company to work for because it makes a difference for people. But the other thing we do is when you work, one of the reasons why people don't work for manufacturing companies is they think it's the consolation prize of our society. 90, we can talk about wages and so on, and those are very important. We've raised wages 3% every year since the recession like clockwork. So we have pretty good wages, and we think we pay well, and we think that people like to be in a company where they're relevant. But one of the issues is, as I said, people think if they're signing up for manufacturing, they're signing up to be the gamma minuses of our society in Huxley terms.
Interesting.
Can I ask you a follow-up about that? Because I've heard that.
Yes.
And when I visit manufacturing plants, what I'm struck by is how high-tech they are. They seem like the future, not the past.
Correct.
And is Snap-on the same? What type of
Yeah, you would
skills
think
do they
that
need?
you would think that I'm a character, I'm a tool maker, I'm a character out of Silas Marner. But actually, I spent the whole last week on the plant floor in Elizabethton, Tennessee, and it's no longer dark, dumb, and dirty. It's very complicated, and we have 70,000 SKUs. The average SKU is only 2,000, and one of the is 2,000 in a year. And so that means the workers have to be very capable to handle that customization. We think that's the future of manufacturing. It allows American manufacturers to take advantage of the one inalienable advantage that they have, proximity to the world's greatest markets. It's hard to send variety 10,000 miles in 12 time zones. So that's how we work on it. It works pretty well for us. But I think there is a question. I mean, people talk about manufacturing. There's the New York Times had an article last week, Yuval Harari, talking about the people who work in manufacturing and other things being the useless class. So there's a lot of people talking about that.
That's very inaccurate. But you mentioned kind of the demand for tools.
Yes.
How sensitive is demand to what's going on in construction, home sales, people buying new
Well, we
homes?
don't sell to construction. We're not a construction guy. We sell to people where the mission is critical, the task is critical. That is, the penalty for failure is high, and the need for repeatability and reliability justifies a Snap-on level product. The thing about Snap-on is it's a little bit different than almost anything else, because people use Snap-on, one, because it gets the job done every time, no matter what. I'm making a commercial now, but the other thing that's kind of interesting for you is it is the outward sign of pride and dignity that working men and women take in their jobs. So if they're using Snap-on, they declare to the world that they're doing something special, perhaps as special as a surgeon. So it counters this idea that they're in the consolation prize. That's why we're so sensitive and why we see it like that.
Right. And do they want to do more of that kind of work when they get a new home, which needs repairs that they want to customize? I'm just curious.
Well, we don't sell to amateurs. If there's a commandment in Snap-on,
He's not going to tell you the answer you want.
No, really. For Snap-on, if there's a commandment in Snap-on is, thou shalt not sell to DIY, do-it-yourselfers, because that would erode the idea of you're somebody special. You're a craftsman. You see, the whole thing about it is people in working men and women. It's one of the reasons for the last election. They felt that people didn't give them respect. You can read any number of books about this. And one of the things that Snap-on does, part of our business is we dispense pride and dignity and distinction.
Well, something that has been interesting, there was an article at Bloomberg a few weeks ago talking about demographics and basically saying that the working number of Americans from 65 to 74 is actually going to grow 4.5% in ways much faster than any other demographic. Do you see that at all in your business?
Well, we see, I don't know if I can't speak to those exact numbers, but I'll tell you this, the average guy at Snap-on's there 14 years. That means when you come in the door, you stay there 28 years. See, part of the things, just coming back to the customization, I was in the factory with those people in Elizabeth, and they are skilled people. So we invest in them. when you say that workers are the most important part of your company, you sort of have to act like it. So we hold on to them for dear life.
Alan, what do you think of that demographic?
Well, that's been boosting labor force participation. And I think we're headed towards a worker shortage. I think companies are going to have to be more enlightened about how they recruit and retain workers. But one of the bright spots is as people are getting healthier, as work is becoming less strenuous, we are seeing people extend their careers. Public policy hasn't adjusted to that, but we are seeing labor force participation rise for the older demographic groups.
How does that wind up also changing the types of jobs people have? Because in this article, it was really interesting that like someone maybe who's 70 doesn't want to work a full-time, really hard job, but they want to do something more social. Maybe they work in a restaurant and because they want to have the interaction. Like, how does that change the types of jobs that are out there and the tightness?
I think it is changing the nature of supply for work. We're also seeing more self-employment among that group because they have more skills. They've built up networks and contacts, and they can often become self-employed. And sometimes companies prefer for them to be self-employed as well. So that's another aspect that's changing.
One of the things about that, though, is that one of the misconceptions about a factory is not antisocial. You should hear the assembly workers talk.
Okay.
So they spend a lot of time talking to each other.
Are you recruiting right now for workers?
If you like, everybody here is trainable. I do believe this honestly, is manufacturing needs to be able to recruit workers to fill those 458,000 jobs and the 2 million that are going to be open by in 10 years. And part of it is overcoming that idea that these jobs are dark, dumb, and dirty, but they're jobs that give pride and dignity and allow you to keep your family warm and safe and dry.
So looking forward to 2019, what's the biggest headwind to your business? What do you see?
The biggest headwind to our business is our ability to expand in other places. We're pretty strong in automotive repair, and we're strong in automotive repair because we understand that work very well, and that generates a huge number of products. One of the reasons why we have 70,000 SKUs, we keep bringing out hundreds of new products in automotive repair, understanding oil and gas and aviation and the military, where we're rolling out, which are also critical. The penalty for failure is high. Getting understanding of those businesses and bringing out new products is our